You just circle around and try to look for something. But it's very tight in that area. It's very tight.
And getting tighter.
And going to continue to.
Okay.
I
Are
lived
there
there.
other
I know.
questions?
Yeah, no,
Other questions from the board or the community? Excuse me. Okay, we're done, we're not gonna do a public session. We're gonna do- Any other conversation?
Okay.
I'll make a motion to support the application.
Okay, then I need a second. Okay.
All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstention? I'm sorry, you're opposing?
And Kevin.
No.
Oh, I'm
He
sorry.
was-
Kevin.
Yeah, okay, and any opposed? Denine,
Two opposed.
any abstentions?
one opposed.
One
Oh, one
opposed?
opposed.
And
Two
Abstentions.
abstentions.
Two abstentions. I don't remember recusing.
Okay,
You're recusing?
Yes.
And how many was there that were in favor?
7.
Yeah, and just, I was pausing because I was thinking that it might be a good time for you to talk with the,
Communication.
yeah, absolutely. We prefer that happen before we get to this point, so that the assurances
We didn't
can
even
be
know
made.
the sign. We saw the sign, maybe Saturday or Sunday, the pastor told us about the sign. The sign was small, it was behind a gate, so I couldn't read it from the gate. I had to ask somebody to sort of bend over, what does that sign
It's
say?
8 by 11.
Like that,
So-
yes, and
Yeah.
so that's
You're
why
here, so-
we,
At least y'all doing this.
that's how we found out about it.
Well, it's a good thing. We appreciate the fact that you've
Yes.
taken the
Absolutely.
time
Yes,
to
absolutely.
come, because it's important.
And
This
I
is
think
how
it-
we change communities.
Yes.
This is how you participate
Yes.
in communities, so it's important.
And between now and the general board meeting, we expect that there'll be some
Okay.
additional conversation.
Yes.
and if you talk, who knows, maybe they'll even give you, maybe they'll give you a lift.
To go fundraiser.
That's right.
Okay, so we've got the second applicant, Seasoned Vegan LLC. Seasoned Vegan LLC. Wine and beer license application located 55 St. Nicholas Avenue, northwest corner of 112th Street. Sorry?
113.
113th.
Oh, you moved. Where there's a green sidewalk.
Yes.
Green sidewalk.
And so, this is the opportunity for the board members to discuss any issues, concerns, questions.
So good.
None?
I have
Okay.
one complaint. They didn't bring samples.
Always have that.
We have to read.
It's called conflict of interest.
So,
I'll take you out to lunch.
thank you.
Do not give this man free food.
He's joking.
He's only joking.
Not really.
So motion to support the application.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Deneen cannot vote twice.
You got Kevin.
Yes,
So what's the
Ten.
Any opposition and any abstentions? I think,
Yes, you work with my agency.
that's it for the business part of it.
Well, if we can
No,
go
no,
to
one by one.
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We have one more.
So, I can't seem to figure this place out.
It's always the same story.
The times I've been here, they're always non-responsive. You know, I was trying, the last time I was trying to schedule them for the renewal, I was emailing, calling, you know, you can't even get a, you know, call back, but we did finally get them in here. And they, you know, they didn't submit their stuff in advance, so I'm, you know, flipping through trying to, you know, to
Figure it out.
There's no
this
day.
stuff out. And there's nothing here that he hasn't had on his desk for 6 months. It's just, there's no petition, there's no letters, there's nothing. I actually had a conversation, I had the opportunity in a purely social setting to meet the commissioner of the SLA, Jeanette Green.
Yes.
And just, it's like, oh, you're Harlem, she's lived here, this and that. And the only thing that she mentioned to me was, this Harlem 150, they're serving liquor without a license. Now, I'm not saying that his story isn't right, but when the commissioner of the SLA is saying this, I wanna look into it, I wanna call them and find out why this complaint was made, why they raided the place, was there a hearing, was there any defense, and why they suspended him. It's just a little, I got questions.
That Groupon thing, I mean, if he was rated in October, legally he was able to sell until July? He was legally able to.
Well, until they suspended his license, I guess, you know,
But I'm
they
not
could
gonna-
suspend until,
I saw that on there after July to purchase it. I don't wanna
Yeah.
swear to it or whatever.
well, the question is whether
it
if you
was
showed
on
up, he
there.
was gonna serve you wine.
Yeah.
He said it was carried even though he told them. not to.
Okay.
My bet he's not that
If you can
stupid.
contact Groupon, it takes them 24 hours, because I've gotten
I
subpoenas,
mean,
I'm a
he's
lawyer for a minute.
got a
So
bottle-
subpoenas
He's
for
got a
them.
bottle of
You can
everything
contact
you
them
need
and take that down
behind the bar.
within 24 hours, I'm just saying.
But it's on hold.
Yeah.
Can I, just, are we finished with this?
Can I just make
Yeah,
a
I
comment?
Can we,
Well, actually, this
Oh, okay.
part is just for the committee members, but we're about to go out of business, so you can make your
Can we
comment.
stay in business?
Same business for, related to this?
No, no. So, you'll get a minute, Julie.
You get more.
So, not in reference to this, are we done with this? So, can we, my understanding is that Joe's Crab Shack,
Is that a business?
right,
Is
So-
well,
What?
is
It's
closed.
out of business. Oh, I
It's
forgot.
closed.
Are you?
So Joe's Crab Shack
Yeah.
is closed.
Yeah.
So one of the things I would like us to do is to bring them in and find out why they're closed, at least from their perspective. And the reason I would like to do this is that it is important for us to understand success, but it's even more important for us to understand why things are not working or did not work. I may have my own theory about why it didn't work, but I think it's important for us to, they did come.
Yeah.
They came, and their ownership came.
We supported them.
And we, right,
Yeah.
so, and their ownership came.
Right.
So I do think it's important, and it was a big investment for them.
Oh, yeah.
It
So-
was a huge investment. It was the very first Joe's Crab Shack to ever come
In the
to
city.
New York
In the
City.
city.
It came to Harlem. They hired locally. They worked
Right.
with city services.
Exactly.
The unfortunate part of it was, part of it, there's a number of reasons, and we can definitely have them come to the table to tell us more. But one of the reasons that was given to me was that the community did not feel that they worked with them. That people within the community did not feel that they worked with them.
You mean
And
frequented?
that's all I'm gonna say.
You meant use their services?
Yeah, they didn't utilize the city. I mean, they didn't, not the city, but they didn't utilize particular organizations within
In-kind
the
services.
community. And then also there were complaints about service. There was
Service.
complaints.
That's right.
There were
Service
complaints.
was
If you look at the article in the Amsterdam News, it's in the Amsterdam News. If you look at the article in the Amsterdam News, you will see a number of comments from people in the community, and they all outlined the issues that they had, and it ranged from food to service. And a lot of people complained about the quality. You know, I remember I walked in there, you know, since it was, the grand opening was beautiful. It was red carpet and everybody, they were
Well, they had
dancing.
people
They were
lined up
doing
around
the
the street.
wobble and,
Yeah,
you know,
hours.
they did, yeah, it was phenomenal. But then, you know, the decline in staff, they lost like half of their staff they hired from workforce, and they lost half their staff. They didn't train them. That's another issue. That's why it's so key that Kimberly is here tonight, because, you know, the quality of service in Harlem has to stay at a certain level, because this is Harlem. Harlemites want, they require a certain level of service. So they want to see that, they're getting good customer service and that the staff are trained properly. So that was a big issue. I mean, you go in there and it's a box in there. I will say this because I worked closely with them before, I even came here, was that they made that whole building legal because there were businesses open within, as many businesses are in Harlem. A lot of the buildings are not covered with proper TCO or C of O. So that business literally covered that entire building, DSW, Party City, Blink, because we sat there with the commissioner and made sure that we went through every single item with their architects and licensed professionals to make sure that they were compliant to city code. Unfortunately, again, the staff did not maintain a level of quality. The customer service went downhill. The food was not as good as it is in other places, and there are other Joes in other boroughs now. There's one in Queens. There's one in the Bronx, and I assisted with those as well. But this one was their big banner because it was their first one, and it was in Harlem. Unfortunately, it did not maintain, and the community did not feel that they.
Well, I'm not gonna make that assumption. I think what we should do, because I think this is a really big deal.
Yes.
But
And
no
I
one's
happen to
opposed to
think
that,
that this
right?
is.
No one's opposed to inviting them to come in.
No, of course not, no.
So
It's like,
Right.
there's no argument here.
And to
Myra,
cut this to the
could
chase,
you
we'll absolutely invite them.
contact them and
Certainly.
see if they
Yeah.
can come next month?
And then for us to really do an analysis, I think, before and even after they come. Because I think this really, I think even for your office, to be honest, because there was a lot of time invested. And does this say to big business that if you work with city agencies, what does this mean? Because is this a success or failure for working with Workforce One? You made us work with them. You got us. I'm just saying these are questions.
No, that's a good.
Well,
As a
does
business
it-
person, that I would
Does
be
it say to
asking.
other similar businesses, Harlem is tough and you better know?
No, I
Yeah.
understand, but this is a big business.
there.
I mean, it's not big.
And they were
big,
only
but
here
it's-
2 years.
When
They're
when
only
did
here
it
2
close?
years.
When did it close?
It closed last week.
Yeah,
It was just in I need to forward you
The
that.
decline of it,
Yeah,
what has that been like, was it
So
sudden?
anyway, I just wanted to bring that up.
It was gradual.
Buffalo Wings just
So-
opened.
Well, yeah, what-
Yeah.
Brand.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you something,
I wanna
incredible
talk about-
service.
Can we just,
Everybody.
Okay,
Go on to the
but we
next.
do have to,
I agree.
and
Because I
our
have
head
to
is
go.
blocking the cameras if people.
Your hand is,
No, no.
oh, Jimmy, Danny's hand.
Yeah, you're blocking Keith.
Cameras, no.
well, all I want to say is can we move on?
Yes, we are moving
You don't
on.
know
We're out of the business portion of the. Well, what
No,
what
but
we
thanks
will
for
do is, there are a couple of things that
Oh,
I need to
okay.
discuss.
Not
And we'll do so quickly, but first, Julius had asked to be added. He's got a 2-minute presentation about something that he believes would be helpful to the Harlem community.
Okay, so I always need a script when I'm given like 2 minutes. A few years ago, the Obama administration challenged public housing authorities throughout America to come up with innovative ways to integrate public housing into their respective societies.
Just let him go ahead.
I took on the challenge, because when I read that, I said, wow, so my mind starts to work a little bit. And I took on that challenge. I actually presented to the Obama administration this proposal, and since I'm limited to 2 minutes, but anyway, it was, I came up with, some actual economic ideas that could create jobs. But, and this pilot program that I came up with it was called the Public Housing Improvement Districts, or the Public Housing Improvement of Local Lands. But since I'm limited a little bit, one of the ideas that I just recently came up with, I'm going to resubmit, to different people. I did submit to Richie Torres, of the Public Housing Committee at the City Council level, and even NYCHA. But when I was attending some of these meetings about the Bradhurst proposal, And I briefly heard someone say that they tried to bring the farmer's market, you know, either near the polo grounds or on the polo grounds, and then quickly it was dismissed that that wouldn't work or something, or they felt that it wouldn't work. But then I started thinking about this. I said, why wouldn't it work? You know, I mean, you have to understand, well, if you understand what the Obama administration in this regard was trying to do, you know, when you alienate, you know, different segments of your society, like people do in public housing, you're going to get problems. And so if you try to integrate them, you know, and sort of like make them work with, you know, the community, you can succeed with, you know, resolving many issues that you find in public housing. So I feel that, you know, these farmer markets, they can be controlled by, you know, either the tenants association overseeing or some elder council, and that you would set, you know, these markets sort of like on the outer, you know, perimeters of the public housing lands. And you would, you know, create now visibility, and then now you have all different type of people, you know, coming in to these markets. Now, the reason why I feel that this would work is because over the summer, and I've heard you like now, you know, I'm listening to your comments, and it seems like we're right on the verge of something, but I know that you've noticed on 125th Street that the street economy was booming, like we've never seen it before. And I'll tell you firsthand, I believe that it was due to the street vendors and a lot of cultural stuff that was happening on 125th Street. So that was the catalyst to bring people, you know, into this area. And then once they were in this area, they would shop, and they're shopping with the stores, they're shopping with, you know, the local vendors. And I haven't seen this type of, you know, thrust in many years. So I was like, I noticed it right away. But the synergy of all this, yes, we saw that it was intergenerational and multicultural. And not just 125th Street, on 135th and 116th. But the synergy of this was controlled by the elders. Like, in other words, they dictated the pulse of how, you know, it was going to operate. And you didn't see any type of incidents, you know, going on, like no fights, and the young people coming in with the older people and participating. And it was really very peaceful on 125th Street. So this concept of intergenerational, you know, you see it many times, you know, if we think of what intergenerational events do we have where there is peace? Funerals and weddings, you know, and everybody, you know, they're listening to the elders. So if you take control of some of these initiatives and let the elders sort of like dictate, let them take charge again, because we're moving away from that, but, you know, things come full circle again. And I see that, you know, when you leave it, don't interfere with it, the elders will take charge. But when you interfere with them taking charge, like, you know, our government tends to do, you know, you have these problems. So that's how I'm correlating the 125th Street economic engine with how I feel that these farmer markets could work in public housing. They would provide jobs for the relative NYCHA development. So you wouldn't have a farmer's market in the polo grounds and look to hire people, you know, from St. Nick housing. It would be like internal. Each, you know, public housing would create their own ideal farmer's market. But
that's 5.
Right.
yeah, so that's why I'm not gonna, you know.
Right.
Yeah, so I'll wrap it up. So anyway, I was very a little dismayed about the Bradhurst thing, but I understand why it went the way it did go.
Okay, but you gotta wrap it up because I've got 4 different things to
Okay.
cover.
So anyway, so I'd like to, you know, at some point in the near future, do a more full proposal, submit it, and then get like a letter of support for this initiative that would include the other jobs that would come from this
Okay, well, related to that, thank you.
All right.
The Harlem Park to Mark and Whole Foods Market have announced that on October 10th from 12 to 3, local Harlem vendors will be able, that's food, beverage, body care, clothing, cards, jewelry. They should show up at the annual Harlem Harvest Festival at St. Nick between 1/16th and 1/17th on October 10th. Between 12 and 3 to apply to be selected as a vendor at Whole Foods when they open. So that's a huge thing. It relates to what Julie's saying, and that it's giving local vendors a chance to sell in the local Whole Foods. It's very important.
Maybe my game plans.
Maybe. Very quickly, there is a, it was in your email, so I'm not going to talk too much about it, but the first thing is that Harlem Business Alliance will be having its annual MWBE Workforce Development Forum. It'll be at Harlem Hospital. We will again be co-sponsoring. That's September 22nd. I'm sorry, September 22nd from 5:30 to 9:30. And if there are committee members that would be interested in volunteering their time, helping with registration and so on, and please communicate with me, because we enjoy a very good relationship with HBA. Same thing for.
I'm sorry, we have to leave.
Yes.
Yes. Closing soon.
Yes.
And I just want to thank you all for the opportunity. Thank you all for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. And I hope that you come to businesses and people.
Well, thank you.
We love you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much. The second announcement is Silicon Harlem will be having its annual technology conference dealing with local economic development issues, MWBE, and technology, networking at MIST on October 16th it's all day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And so we'll be working with them, and again, the same thing goes if there's anybody interested in volunteering. And then finally, UMES is working on a MWBE Workforce Development Forum around the Victoria Theater Hotel project, which is a $170 million project. So, yeah, they'll be having the tentative date is still, well, it's tentative, but they'll be looking at attracting local MWBE contractors, subcontractors, as well as local workforce development organizations to participate in this very significant construction development project.
What's the date financing?
It's a tentative, so as soon as I get it, I'm going to send it out.
When's the hotel open?
The hotel?
Not
I
your
know, well, the financial parts of it are moving along.
They're working on it now.
Important.
Is there a new projected opening date for Whole Foods?
Well, they said winter 2016.
Yeah, fourth quarter.
Yeah, winter 2016.
So that's
That hope still, yeah. No.
Next
year.
Next
Oh,
year.
2016.
16 months.
Winter.
She said winter.
Oh,
Winter.
Closer to 20.
A year.
Does the election will force it?
Yeah, it's a year.
Yeah, we'll talk
Okay.
about it next.
Very good. And so that is it for oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you had something
Yeah.
about it, yes, right?
Yeah, no, just a quickie, I'm sorry. Just a quick announcement. I know that our chair, CB10 chair, announced the homeless forum, but unfortunately I had patients. I was a little late. So one of the things that I'm looking for is for some assistance. We're trying to develop a planning committee for the forum. I'm looking to do this really the week before Thanksgiving. I need a lawyer on the committee. And I'm planning on having multiple community board 10 members on the committee.
Very good.
So it's not just community board 10, we'd love to have young people that will do the. We'd love to have the church, and to have you guys engaged, you're here, we'd love to engage you in this homeless initiative that Community Board 10 is doing right now. I think it'd be a great thing for us. There's some partners that we're looking to work with. First Corinthian Community Development Corporation to potentially use that space, because we would like not to be at the state office building, mainly because we like to have homeless people attend if they need to. And if they don't have IDs, they can't enter the building. So we want to make sure it's accessible to everyone. The main purposes of it, just quickly, is to provide summary of homelessness in our particular district and be very specific. I'd like to develop a homeless report card, at least the initiation of doing so, as well as potentially develop a pledge, which is what I need you for our politicians to be able to sign off on, in terms of potential resources that could be devoted to our district specifically. So we want to really be very district specific, not just city specific.
You want to hold them accountable.
Exactly, and the whole overall theme is something that I think the planning committee will talk about, but it's really about a call for action on homelessness in our area. And then the last theme, the last objective is really to create action steps for our residents, specifically, so. So those that are interested in assisting, I mean, there's actually several community residents that's already verbalized interest. So speak to Andrew.
I'm too
Terry.
busy on the sister city project.
We've got a lot to,
So there's a lot.
to do.
So anyway, so you'll hear more,
All right.
but, yeah.
Thank you, and with
Saw
that,
that.
we are dismissed.
We're done.
All right.
Thank you for having and giving us your attention.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.